Carrying her was just survival, until she told him she was pregnant with his child. The red emergency lights pulsed through the research station's corridors as Finn Harrison made his final sweep. The evacuation order had come suddenly. The native insurgents had breached the outer defenses, and all human personnel were ordered to abandon the facility immediately. "This is Harrison checking sublevel 3, he reported into his comm unit, his boots echoing against the metal flooring. "All clear so far." A distant explosion rocked the building, and fragments of ceiling tiles rained down. As the dust settled, he heard something, a soft whimper coming from behind a partially collapsed doorway. Protocol dictated that he should head straight to the evacuation point, but something made him pause. Pushing aside debris, Finn discovered her, a Nidarian female, trapped beneath a fallen beam. Her silvery skin had an almost luminescent quality even in the dim emergency lighting, and her large, almond-shaped eyes met his with a mix of fear and hope. "Hold on," he whispered, knowing she might not understand his words, but hoping his tone would convey his intentions. The Nidarians were a peaceful species. This one must have been caught in the crossfire between humans and the insurgents. Using his enhanced exosuit strength, Finn carefully lifted the beam. The Nidarian tried to move but collapsed with a pained chirp. Her leg was clearly injured. There would be no way for her to walk out of here. Another explosion closer this time. His comm unit crackled. "Final warning to all personnel. Evacuation ships depart in 15 minutes. The facility's self-destruct sequence has been initiated." Finn made his decision in a split second. He couldn't leave her here to die. Gently, he scooped her into his arms. She was surprisingly light, her body temperature several degrees cooler than a human's. She tensed initially but then relaxed, wrapping her slender arms around his neck. "I'm getting you out of here," he said, already moving towards the emergency exit. The Nidarian made a soft trilling sound that somehow conveyed gratitude. They emerged into the perpetual twilight of Nidaria's surface. The planet's twin suns were setting, casting long purple shadows across the crystalline landscape. Finn could see the evacuation ships in the distance, but the direct route was blocked by weapons fire and falling debris. "Hang on tight," he murmured, turning toward the crystal forests. It was a longer route but safer. The Nidarian's grip tightened as he began running, her cool breath against his neck sending an unexpected shiver down his spine. The crystal trees clinked together in the wind, their sharp edges glinting dangerously. Finn navigated carefully, aware of both the precious cargo in his arms and the time ticking away. The Nidarian occasionally made soft clicking sounds which he realized were directions. She was helping him find the safest path through her world. They had covered perhaps half the distance when a group of insurgents appeared ahead. Finn ducked behind a large crystal formation, holding his breath. The Nidarian in his arms went completely still, seeming to understand the danger. The insurgents passed within meters of their hiding spot, their heavy boots crunching on the crystalline ground. Finn could feel the Nidarian's heart racing against his chest, matching his own elevated pulse. Without thinking, he tightened his hold on her protectively. Once the danger passed, they continued their journey. The evacuation ships were getting closer, but so was the facility's imminent destruction. Finn's arms burned from the effort of carrying her, but he refused to slow down. The Nidarians suddenly pointed urgently to their left. Finn hesitated for a moment but trusted her judgment. The new path led them through a narrow ravine, a shortcut he hadn't known existed. They emerged from the ravine just as a massive explosion lit up the sky behind them. The facility's self-destruct sequence had begun. Finn sprinted the final distance to the evacuation ships, his lungs burning with effort. "Harrison, over here," a voice called out. One of the smaller ships had waited for him. As he approached, he saw the crew's eyes widen at the sight of his companion. "She's injured," Finn said firmly, leaving no room for argument. She needs medical attention. Perhaps it was the chaos of the moment, or maybe the crew saw something in his determined expression, but they helped him aboard without question. As the ship lifted off, Finn kept holding the Nidarian, unable to explain why letting go felt impossible. She looked up at him, her large eyes reflecting the flames of her burning world below. Her hand touched his cheek in a gesture that needed no translation, thank you. In that moment, neither of them could have known how this simple act of rescue would change both their lives forever. The medical bay of the evacuation ship hummed with quiet activity as Finn watched the doctors treat Lyra's injuries. He had learned her name through a combination of gestures and the translation program on his tablet. The medical staff had been hesitant at first, but Lyra's gentle demeanor and Finn's insistence had won them over. The bone structure is different from ours, the medic explained, studying the holographic scan of her leg. But the break is clean, she'll need time to heal. Finn nodded, noticing how Lyra's silvery skin seemed to shimmer under the medical lights. She caught him watching and made a soft trilling sound that he was beginning to recognize as her version of a smile. The ship shuddered violently, throwing medical supplies off the shelves. The captain's voice crackled over the intercom. All personnel brace for emergency landing. Our main engine has been hit by debris. Finn immediately moved to Lyra's side, securing her to the medical bed. Their eyes met, and he saw no fear in hers, only trust. The ship lurched again, and alarms blared throughout the corridors. "We're going down in the crystalline valley," the captain announced. "Prepare for impact." The crash was violent but controlled. When the dust settled, Finn helped Lyra into a makeshift wheelchair. The captain gathered the survivors. They were stranded in hostile territory, at least 3 days from the nearest human outpost. "We'll need to move carefully," the captain said. "The insurgents will be looking for survivors." The group began their journey through the crystal forests, more beautiful but far more dangerous than the ones they'd left behind. Finn stayed close to Lyra, who used her knowledge of the terrain to guide them away from hazardous areas. As night fell, the temperature dropped dramatically. The humans huddled in their thermal gear, but Finn noticed Lyra shivering. Her people weren't meant to endure the cold of their world's long nights. Without hesitation, he removed his outer thermal layer and wrapped it around her. She tried to protest, but he gently insisted. "I'll be fine," he assured her, though his teeth were already beginning to chatter. They found shelter in a shallow cave, its walls embedded with luminescent crystals that cast a soft blue glow. The group settled in for the night, but sleep proved elusive as the temperature continued to drop. Lyra noticed Finn's discomfort and made a decision. She beckoned him closer, then opened the thermal blanket like a wing. He understood her intention and hesitated only briefly before joining her. They sat together, sharing warmth, their breathing synchronizing naturally. Lyra's body temperature, usually cool, seemed to adjust to match his. It was a peculiar sensation, but not unpleasant. Through his tablet, Lyra began teaching him basic words in her language. Her voice was melodic, almost musical, as she helped him practice the complex tones and clicks. In return, he taught her simple English phrases. "Safe," she said carefully, her first human word. Then she pointed to him. "You make safe." Finn felt something stir in his chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with shared body heat. "We keep each other safe," he corrected gently. As the night progressed, Lyra told him about her work as a cultural liaison at the research facility. She had been studying humans, fascinated by their adaptability and emotional depth. Now she was experiencing both firsthand. They talked about their worlds, their differences, and their surprising similarities. Lyra explained how her people could sense emotions through subtle temperature changes, which explained her increasing attunement to his feelings. Dawn approached, but neither felt tired. Finn found himself mesmerized by the way the crystal light played across her silvery skin, creating patterns like starlight on water. She reached out, tracing the lines of his face with gentle curiosity. Different, she said in English, then switched to her language, which his tablet translated, but beautiful in its own way. Finn caught her hand, holding it against his cheek. The gesture felt intimate, crossing boundaries of species and culture. Lyra's skin flushed a deeper silver, and her natural bioluminescence brightened slightly. The moment was interrupted by movement outside their cave. Finn instantly shifted into a protective stance, but it was only the night watch changing shifts. Still, he remained close to Lyra, their shared warmth now feeling like a lifeline in the cold darkness. As the group prepared to move out at first light, Finn helped Lyra back into the wheelchair. She caught his hand and pressed it to the center of her chest, a Nidarian gesture of deep gratitude and connection. Together, she said in careful English, then added something in her own language that made his tablet display. Some journeys change more than just our direction. Neither of them fully understood the truth of those words, or how their forced proximity during these cold nights was triggering subtle biological changes in Lyra's alien physiology. Changes that would soon reshape both their futures in ways they could never have imagined. As they emerged from the cave into the pale morning light, their hands remained linked, a bridge between two worlds, growing stronger with each passing moment. 3 weeks after their rescue, Finn sat beside Lyra in the human settlement's medical center. Her leg had healed remarkably fast, thanks to her species' advanced regenerative abilities. What brought them here today was something entirely different. "You look worried," Finn said, noticing the silvery sheen of her skin had taken on a pearlescent quality he'd never seen before. He'd learned to read her subtle biological responses over their time together. Lyra's fingers intertwined with his, her skin temperature matching his perfectly, a feat she'd only recently developed. "Finn," she began, her English now much improved, "there is something I must tell you, something about my people that wasn't in your research databases." The medical center's soft lighting reflected off the delicate patterns that had begun appearing on her skin, another new development that had puzzled them both. Through their deepening connection, he could sense her anxiety. "Nidarians," she continued, her melodic voice trembling slightly, "we don't reproduce like humans, our biology. It's adaptive. When we form deep connections, our bodies respond to our chosen partners regardless of species." Finn listened intently, though something in her tone made his heart beat faster. She placed his hand against her abdomen, where a subtle warmth pulsed beneath her skin. "During those nights we shared warmth when we were running from the insurgents. My body began to change, to adapt." Her large eyes met his, filled with a mix of wonder and uncertainty. "I'm carrying our child, Finn." The room seemed to spin. "But how is that even possible?" he whispered, though he didn't pull his hand away from the gentle warmth beneath it. "My people evolved to survive by adapting to other species when our numbers were few," she explained. "The genetic compatibility triggers only with deep emotional bonds and prolonged physical proximity, like what we shared during the escape." Finn sat back, processing this extraordinary information. 1,000 questions raced through his mind, but what he felt most strongly was a surge of protectiveness for both Lyra and this miraculous possibility they'd created. "The medical scans confirm it," she added softly. "The child will be a bridge between our species, neither fully human nor fully Nidarian, but something wonderfully new." The reality of their situation began to sink in. They were about to become the first human Nidarian parents in recorded history. The implications were staggering. Are you all right with this?" he asked carefully, studying her expression, "with everything it might mean." Lyra's bioluminescence brightened her way of showing joy. "I am honored to carry our child, but I understand if this is too much for you. My people would support us, but I know humans might see this differently. Finn stood up and pulled her into a gentle embrace. I've been falling in love with you since the moment I found you in that facility, he confessed. This is unexpected, but it doesn't change how I feel. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Tears slipped from Lyra's eyes, a new ability she developed through her adaptation to human biology. They caught the light like liquid diamonds on her silvery skin. There will be challenges, she warned, even as she melted into his embrace. The pregnancy will be different from both human and Nidarian norms, and our child will be unique in all the universe. Then we'll write the rulebook ourselves, Finn said firmly. We've already proved we make a good team. They spent hours discussing their future, planning, and dreaming. The medical staff came and went, making notes on this unprecedented situation, but Finn and Lyra remained in their own world, hands clasped, hearts aligned. As evening approached, they stood by the medical center's window, watching Nidaria's twin suns set. Lyra guided Finn's hand back to her abdomen, where the warmth seemed to pulse in response to his touch. I can feel the changes happening, she murmured. The child carries your strength and my adaptability. Already it's teaching my body new ways to grow, to become something more than I was. Finn kissed her forehead, marveling at how natural it felt despite their biological differences. You've already made me more than I was, he replied. Whatever happens next, that's the greatest gift you could have given me. As darkness fell outside, they remained by the window, two figures from different worlds creating something entirely new. Their child would be born into a universe of endless possibilities, carrying within them the best of both their species. Tomorrow, Lyra said softly, we should begin preparing for the journey ahead. Finn nodded, knowing she meant more than just the pregnancy. They were about to embark on an adventure no one had ever undertaken before. But as he held her close, feeling the miracle of their impossible child growing between them, he knew with absolute certainty that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The medical center grew quiet around them, but they stayed there, wrapped in each other's warmth, watching the stars emerge in the alien sky stars that would shine down on a child who would one day help bridge the gap between their two worlds. The news of Finn and Lyra's unprecedented pregnancy spread through both communities like wildfire. The human settlement buzzed with mixed reactions, while the nearby Nidarian enclave approached the situation with their characteristic thoughtful curiosity. Finn stood before the joint council of human and Nidarian leaders, his hand firmly clasped with Lyra's. Her abdomen now showed visible signs of their miracle, with subtle patterns of light dancing beneath her silvery skin. We understand your concerns, Finn addressed the council, but we're committed to making this work. Our child represents something greater than our individual species. They represent hope for true unity. The Nidarian elder, with shimmering pale blue skin, raised her hand. In our history, adaptation has been our strength. This child is proof that evolution finds a way to bring worlds together. Dr. Harrison, the human settlement's chief medical officer, and no relation to Finn, pulled up a holographic display of Lyra's latest scans. The fetus is developing remarkably well. It appears to have inherited the best traits of both species, human resilience and Nidarian adaptability. Lyra stepped forward, her voice clear and melodic. My body has created a perfect environment for our child. Each day brings new changes, new adaptations. The human and Nidarian aspects are working in harmony. As the weeks passed, Finn and Lyra created a home that blended both their cultures. Their dwelling incorporated both human technology and Nidarian crystal architecture, creating a space as unique as their family. One evening, as they sat in their crystal garden, Lyra suddenly gasped. Finn, feel this. She pressed his hand against her abdomen, where a strong pulse of warmth and light rippled beneath his touch. The babies demonstrating both bioluminescence and human movement patterns, she explained, her eyes shining with joy. They're already learning to bridge both worlds. Their days fell into a rhythm of medical checkups, cultural exchange sessions, and preparing for a birth that would be the first of its kind. Finn learned the intricate ceremonies of Nidarian parenthood, while Lyra embraced human traditions of pregnancy and family. The settlement gradually warmed to their union, especially as other humans and Nidarians began to forge deeper friendships, inspired by their example. What had once seemed impossible was slowly becoming a symbol of hope for both species. As Lyra's pregnancy progressed, their home became a gathering place for both species. Scientists came to study this miracle of biology, while others simply came to witness the power of love transcending biological barriers. One night under the crystalline stars, Finn held Lyra as she rested in their garden. "Do you ever regret it?" he asked softly, "choosing this path with me?" Lyra's skin illuminated with affection. "Every adaptation my body makes, every change we go through, it all feels right, like this was always meant to be our story." The gentle pulse of their child's movement seemed to agree, sending waves of warm light through Lyra's abdomen. They had created something entirely new in the universe, a family that defied all scientific expectations. As the twin suns set on another day on Nidaria, Finn and Lyra stood at the threshold of their future, ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Their love had already accomplished the impossible. What was one more miracle between stars? The birth of the first human Nidarian child took place during a rare alignment of Nidaria's twin suns. The medical center had been prepared for every possibility, but nothing could have truly prepared them for the wonder they witnessed. "One more push," Dr. Harrison encouraged, as both human and Nidarian medical teams worked in perfect synchronization. Finn held Lyra's hand, amazed at how her silver skin now pulsed with streams of light that matched his own heartbeat. The room filled with a soft glow as their child made their way into the universe. The first cry was neither fully human nor Nidarian, but a perfect harmony of both. Their daughter emerged with skin that shifted between human tones and silvery luminescence, her tiny hands already reaching for both her parents. "She's perfect," Lyra whispered, her voice full of wonder. The baby's eyes opened, revealing irises that swirled with both species' characteristics, adapting and changing like the surface of a living crystal. They named her Nova, a new star born from the union of two worlds. As she grew, she displayed remarkable abilities. She could regulate her body temperature like a Nidarian while maintaining human endurance. Her skin could shift between both species' characteristics, and she communicated in ways that bridged both cultures. The settlement transformed around them. What began as their unique family became a model for others. More humans and Nidarians found themselves drawn together, forming bonds that transcended their biological differences. Nova's first steps were celebrated by both communities. Her first words came in both languages simultaneously, and her laugh carried the musical quality of Nidarian tones mixed with human warmth. One evening, as their daughter played in the crystal gardens, creating patterns of light with her inherited bioluminescence, Finn and Lyra watched with pride. "She's everything we hoped for," Finn said, holding Lyra close, "and so much more than we dreamed possible." Lyra nodded, her skin glowing with happiness. "She's proof that love doesn't recognize the boundaries we create. She's the future we were brave enough to choose." Nova ran to them, her skin shimmering with joy. "Look what I can do," she exclaimed, creating complex patterns of light that danced between human and Nidarian forms, a perfect expression of her dual heritage. The family embraced, their unique bond a testament to the power of looking beyond differences to find something extraordinary. Above them, the twin suns of Nidaria set as they always had. But now they shone down on a world forever changed by one simple act of compassion that had blossomed into an impossible love. As night fell, Nova's gentle breathing created soft pulses of light, illuminating their home with the promise of a future where the very concept of different species might one day be nothing more than a footnote in the great story of love. Finn and Lyra exchanged a glance. Their journey from rescuer and rescued now transformed into something far more profound. They had become pioneers of a new kind of family, creators of a bridge between worlds, and parents to a miracle that proved love knows no bounds. In the end, their story became legend among both species, not just of how a human and a Nidarian fell in love, but of how that love opened the door to a future where the stars themselves seemed closer, and the boundaries between worlds faded like stardust in the morning light.